Republican New York City mayoral candidate Curtis Sliwa joins me now. Great person to have here to talk about it. Do you think this is a warning about New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani's city-run grocery stores? He seems to like that program, not working in Kansas.
Well, they won't run out of goods as a result of their inability to stock the shelves, because the shoplifters will come through when the doors open, and they'll take anything that's already there.
Yeah.
So whether you're running a typical capitalist supermarket, which is based on a very small margin, or you're going to open up this idea of a Havana-style government-subsidized supermarket where you have a ration book. We're in trouble here in New York City. I stood on the corner of 125th and Lexington yesterday where they had a brand-new supermarket, no longer in existence. Why? Because of shoplifting, thefts, and people breaking into the supermarket after closing hours. So if you don't deal with the crime issue, I don't care what kind of a supermarket you have. You're going to end up seeing that you're not going to be able to sell product because the shoplifters are going to get the product before anybody else even has access to it.
Let me get into this issue, Curtis. Mamdani is continuing his anti-Trump tour throughout the 5 boroughs. His latest stop, Staten Island. What are your thoughts on this anti-Trump tour? Does it backfire, or what are your thoughts?
No, he doesn't want to debate the issues with Curtis Sliwa, who won Staten Island the last time, or with Eric Adams, the sitting mayor, or the former governor Cuomo. All of us are running against him. And by the way, none of us are dropping out. He would much rather run against Donald Trump, the president. He wants to be David versus Goliath. So naturally, President Trump, who has far bigger issues to deal with, peace between Ukraine and Russia and ending this war in Gaza, because every day that war goes on is a good day for Zohran Mamdani. He exploits that, is that he wants to challenge Trump. He knows he can win an election in New York City by challenging Trump, not Sliwa, not Cuomo, not Adams. I'm going to force him to get back on the issues. You know, he says free bus fare for everybody, and everybody gets bent out of shape. I'm the only one who takes the subways and buses, and I laugh. Half the people don't pay the fare to begin with on the bus.
They just jump over the turnstile.
Exactly. How about fare enforcement? You don't pay the fare, you get rid of, or you go to jail. I'm the only candidate, the Republican, who's talking about law and order.
You mentioned that people are saying, hey, we need to pare down these number of candidates against Mamdani to one, essentially. Otherwise, you're going to split the vote, but you say no.
I trust the people. I don't trust the politicians. And by the way, remember the polls. What was it, a few weeks before the Democratic primary? We thought there was going to be a coronation. People say, Curtis, we love you. You don't have a chance. You know, it's going to be Mayor Cuomo. Boy, sure, the pollsters were right on that one. 40 points ahead. And Cuomo had to apologize afterwards. I'm sorry for not trying my best. Let the people decide. If we debate the issues, we are going to weaken Zohran Mamdani. And I'm the only one going after his millennial and Gen Z voters, because they're not all decided. They haven't all made up their minds, because most of them have never voted before and are not involved in politics.
You mentioned the poll. A new poll shows Mamdani in the lead, 44%. Cuomo second, 25%. You in third with 12. Eric Adams fourth with 7. And of course, you know, this is just a poll, but based on that, how do you plan to catch up?
Well, first off, they admit it's a flawed poll.
Okay.
315 people that were sampled in a city of 8 million. And it was a statewide poll. Sure, you want to focus on Hochul versus the potentiality of the Congresswoman Stefanik running against her. That's fine. But if you're going to focus on a mayoral poll, get 1,000 people to contribute to your poll. In the last poll, right, which was the one that everybody is running with, which was Curtis Sliwa, even with Cuomo and Zohran Mamdani, we were all there. Eric Adams, he's one and done. It's over. When Trump embraced him and his numbers precipitously dropped in the black community, without that base, he cannot win. But he's entitled to run, as is Cuomo, as is Sliwa, and let the voters decide by November 4th. We can put a dent in Zohran Mamdani.
If you add up all of those behind Mamdani, it comes to 44%, which is what Mamdani gets in this poll. But again, just to emphasize, you're not going to get together and say, hey, one of us should be taking on Mamdani, so we don't split those votes 4 ways.
My supporters are not going to support Cuomo. Cuomo's supporters will probably not support me. We all have our own base. We've all had people contribute to our campaigns.
Yeah.
So this idea that somebody's going to drop out, did they say that in 2016 about Trump? We've got to all drop out in the Republican presidential campaign and make it Ted Cruz versus Donald Trump. How did that work out? So this idea of everybody dropping out every day that you or anybody else talks about dropping out is a good day for Zoran Mandami because we're not focused on the issues. I'm riding the subways. I'm walking the streets, the only candidate to do that, and I'm hitting him on the issues he's vulnerable on.
I want to get into this very quickly, Curtis. John Catsimatidis hosted what turned out to be an impromptu fundraiser in the Hamptons. You were the guest of honor. I understand it went pretty well.
It did. When I walked in and I didn't have my trademark red beret on, nobody recognized me, including John Catsimatidis, who I've worked for at WABC Radio. But when I spoke, the business community there afterwards said, he's the only one talking about cutting taxes and cutting this enormous city budget of $118 billion and growing. And remember, Tom DiNapoli, the state controller, a Democrat, warned us there's a $34 billion gap in the state budget, which is going to mean less money for the city. The Trump administration is sending less money to the city, so we're going to have to learn to live within our means. The Democrats don't know how to do that. Curtis Sliwa knows how to do that, and I convinced that crowd. So much so, they had supported Cuomo, they had supported Adams, and now all of a sudden, they realize they're supporting Curtis Sliwa for mayor because I'm the only Republican and the only pro-business candidate running. You can find out more by going to sliwafornyc.com because I am not Diet Coke like Adams and Cuomo are to Coca-Cola Mandami. They're all Democrats. They've destroyed this city.
You're pulling it all out here, Curtis. Great stuff. And by the way, just very quickly, they actually opened up the checkbook for you in that fund, which wasn't a fundraiser, that turned out to be a fundraiser.
And let me tell you something. I'm so happy none of those checks bounced. It's good. Hey, remember, we just raised $2 million. We outraised Zoran Mandami. They said it couldn't be done. I have momentum. The polls are behind me. Not this fake, phony, fraudulent poll you saw there that didn't have a real base to pull from. I will be the mayor of the city of New York. I will get it back on track on November 4th.
Thank you so much for being here, Curtis. It's been excellent to have you here, and we appreciate it. And good luck.
Hey, how you like the look, the corporate look?
I didn't recognize you without the beret.
How you like the corporate
Looks
look?
great.
A corporate, Curtis.
Yeah, it works for
Thank you
you.
very much, Curtis. By the way, quick programming note. Brian Bremberg is going to be hosting